Hi and welcome back. In episode 6, we look at curing the bends. You remember from before how the minimal tensegrity had the freedom to bend because the twists were joined by stretched hexagons. This gave us a tower which could sway back and forth with ease. Each twist has a hexagon on the top and one on the bottom. But our minimum tensegrity also has hexagon openings around the sides. This is interesting because it makes the tension network here is actually made of 100% hexagons, except for the ends. What we're going to do to cure the bends or to add rigidity is to add a tension cable across each side hexagon. When you look at the hexagon from the side, it looks almost like a rectangular shape in the minimal tensegrity. If we add a tension line across it, it'll change the apparent shape of the hexagon. I like to think of this new shape as making a bow tie of the rectangle. So what we're going to do is start with the tower that sways back and forth as it bends, and make it all bow ties. This will have the effect of shortening the tower a bit because with the new tension lines, the twists will be pulled together so that they start to overlap or interpenetrate. You'll see this effect clearly when I have all the bow ties in place. But first, we have to disassemble the minimal tensegrity tower, decomposing it into its constituent parts, tension and compression. To make it easier to distinguish between the old and the new tension, I will use green cord instead of blue. We'll need to separate out each side hexagon and add the new tension line across the gap. Since we'll need quite a few of these new green cords, I set up my jig with the plates at the right distance, and now I can cut a bunch of these cords at the right length and blowtorch their ends, as is the PretensT tradition. So in this tower, there is a total of 12 side hexagons, 3 of them for each twist, except the end twists. Even without the compression, at this point you can already see that we're making a bow tie shape. With 3 hexagons of one twist completed, you can start to see how things are shaping up. Okay, let's quickly do 9 more. There. The tension network now has no more side hexagons because we've turned them all into bow ties. Note that we haven't had to worry about left-handed or right-handed chirality. In fact, the tension network is still completely agnostic about how things twist. It is really hard to visualize what the bow ties will look like in the end, so it's time that we insert all the struts again and inflate the tensegrity back to full 3D. This is, of course, the fun part, but we still want to alternate between left and right-handed twists, so we have to be careful. The twists at either end don't really have hexagons because the tension there is only 5-sided, so they're still minimal. However, we can still insert the struts and stand it up as a tower. Now you can clearly see how the flat hexagons between the twists have taken on a zigzag shape, and how the side hexagons have been turned into bow tie shaped pairs of openings. Also, take a look at which struts are tied together by the new green cord. Each cord connects the next twist to the previous twist and makes no direct contact with its own twist. This is where the rigidity comes from, since now it's a lot harder to change the position of the struts relative to each other. Now, we should still do something about the twists at either end of the tower, since it's not really fair to leave them minimal. What we're going to do is make tension triangles, which can hold the ends tightly to the neighboring zigzag hexagon. For this, we'll use 6 more green cords, and we make these slightly longer than the longer blue cords. We have to take out each end strut, and also loosen one end of the adjacent twist, because we have to tie a new cable to an existing metal ring. Okay, then the other end. Now we have a complete bow tie based tower with the ends triangulated, so we have more or less cured the bends. Now if we suspend the tower from a place in the middle, you can see that it barely sags at all. In fact, we can now finally use a tensegrity to decide which volume of Buckminster-Fuller's synergetics is heavier. Turns out, both of these books are pretty damn heavy. If you've ever opened one of them, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You could have one of these rigid towers on display, at home or at the office. It's not only for looking at, it's also for touching. All you have to do is visit getpretenst.com and place your order. I'll build one and send it to you. So that was the bow tie approach with one chord crossing the hexagon. But when the great Kenneth Snelson built his needle tower tensegrity, he did it another way. He added 2 extra cables to each hexagon for rigidity, which produces tension triangles everywhere. We'll look at how that behaves differently next time. I hope you can join me.